It's train time, starting now, right after this small intro.
In compliance with COPA, this video is not for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised. Sponsored by Canadian Model Railroad.ca and by donations from patrons like you. Further support provided by Miniprints.ca. Make your layout come alive with the 3D creation of Miniprint.ca. And now on with the show with your hosts, Peter and Joe.
Here we are again.
Yep. Episode 23, November 2021.
23, and this is our Remembrance Day episode, although we've been delayed because of Mother Nature.
Yeah, well, we could not have everybody in studio to tape because of the weather, and
Yes.
the road were not good, and too much snow and so on. It remained that even past the date because we wanted to publish on the 11th.
That's right, yes.
Sorry about that, guy, but
But in Manitoba, we get snowstorms.
Yep. And today is the Last We Forget episode,
Right.
which is pretty important.
Yes. And we certainly, even though we're late, we have to think of all of our veterans that have served. Excuse me, not only in the wars themselves, but even our modern day veterans.
Well, any one of them, they have fought for freedom, and they have every right to be recognized as such.
Mm-hmm.
Though that I find sometime that our veterans, as much in Canada and the United States also, are somewhat forgotten,
Yes, yes.
which is to me a shame.
It's unfortunate. I know here in Canada, we want our government to kind of get on board and get funds out to the veterans so that they can live a decent life, type of thing. They're serving our country, and they're not getting the support they should be from our federal government. So
No, and same thing in the States.
yes.
So what amazed me in a press release that Canadian Pacific had made in 2019,
Yes.
right? They were awarded a gold top medals because of being the top 10 military friendly,
Yeah.
designations
Yep.
by the Victory Media.
Yes.
So in October that year, CP joined Home for Heroes
Mm-hmm.
and other stakeholders for the grand opening of the ATCO Veteran Village in Calgary.
Yes.
It turned out to be a community of tiny homes aimed at getting the homeless off of the street, and the program, Spin for a Veteran program, at that time already had raised over $800,000 for that cause.
Yes.
And that's what's just here in Canada.
Yep. Yep.
So at least somebody's doing something.
Yes, we have large corporations that are doing something towards our veterans.
And CP is one of the railroad who hire the most amount of veterans to work for them,
Yes.
which kudos to them.
Yes. Pardon me. Also, talking about CP, in 2019,
Yeah.
November, they unveiled a number of locomotives in different military paint schemes, and that was dedicated to veterans, of course. The paint schemes were carefully studied by CP personnel, and the patterns of the different branches of the Canadian and U.S. Militaries were applied to 5 different locomotives. The first one being 7020, and it was the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Green, which the Canadian and U.S. armies applied to fighting vehicles and equipment. And that equipment is serving in all different types of climates.
Well, and they also have one side is the Canadian flag and the other side is the American flag.
Right.
They did after that the CP-7021. It were the same color that the Canadian and the U.S. Army apply to fighting vehicle and equipment serving in arid climates.
Right.
So, which is another beautiful. Also with the Canadian flag on one side and the American on the others.
Dedicated to both Canadian and American servicemen.
Yeah.
The next locomotive was 7022, and it has the gray
You mean the 7020?
7022, yeah. It has the gray, red, and black color pattern of the Canadian and American warships.
So they were giving at that point an honors to the Navy.
To the Navy, yes. And if you look at it, it's the undercarriage, it's the red, same color as the hull of the warships, and the upper part is the gray.
Wow. Then they came out with the 7023. That's a two-tone gray paint scheme designed after the livery applied to Canadian and American fighter jets. So now they were honoring
now the Air Force
the
is
Air
on there.
Force.
And again, each side has, one side is Canadian flag and the other side is American flag. And then, of course, the 5th one that they came out with.
That's the exception.
This one is the exception. It's numbered 6644 for the date of D-Day.
Yep.
And its color scheme is based on the Spitfire color scheme. And it's dedicated, of course, to the Allied invasion of Normandy in June 6, 1944, to liberate France. And it's the only locomotive that only has Canadian flags on both sides.
And that's the other one that one really amazed me. I really loved that.
It's a beautiful paint scheme. So those have been running on CP lines, and from my understanding, there's a number of railroads on Remembrance Day either blast their horns at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
Yep.
Or if they are able to, they stop completely. But I understand they do give a single blast on their...
Well, I had different version on that, Peter.
Yeah.
By the research that I made, some engineers had made comments that they do stop for the 2 minutes and then having the long blast, if they are in a siding or in the yards, that if they were at that point on the main line, they just at that point blast the horn at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Some others said that they were stopping.
Okay.
And then you had the controversial kind of comment that were coming in there that they say, well, if they were all doing that, everything being late and so on and so on. Yep. And well,
I think stopping is dependent on what their dispatchers will allow them to do, considering where they are on the, with the main line or not. Yeah.
So definitely something is done even there.
Yep.
Today by these people.
Yes.
And as these locomotives journey along on the CP rail system, right, Canadian or American, one cannot help to be reminded of the many veterans of various conflicts around the world. Their sacrifice not only defended our freedom, but also protected our countries. You will note that when you see these commemorative locomotives, that a great care was taken to perfectly reflect the many paint colors and patterns that the U.S. and Canada militaries use on their plane, warship, and tanks.
Right.
You know, that was a very well taught.
Yeah, there was a lot of thought put into that whole process.
You know, it was an honest way of commemorating their employees who were veterans, but also the veterans that had never come back to their country, you know, through different conflicts.
Right.
So we are proud ourselves to support our veterans. They have invaluable skills in many, many ways. And the CP Senior Vice President of Engineering, Mechanical, and Procurement, Mr. Scott McDonald, at the time of the press release, a veteran himself, says these locomotives are a symbol of our support. They will operate in regular service and further support our commitment as a proud employers of veterans in Canada and the United States.
Yes.
And I feel that is a very strong statement.
Yes. It's very thoughtful, and it's really good to see something like that happen.
Oh, yeah. Especially the way that things are today.
Yes.
We cannot not think about that.
Yes. And Athearn, from the modeling side, Athearn has come out with a couple of the military locomotives. One of them, I think, is the Air Force One, and the other one, I'm not too sure what it is, but I think there's two that they're going to be releasing shortly.
Matter of fact, they're late.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be released in December.
Yeah. And they also have the CN commemorative locomotive Athearn coming out.
Yeah, and CN has unveiled on Wednesday, November the 10th or 11th, a new paint scheme on one of their locomotives where you got the poppies on one side, right?
Yeah.
And they have one for the Americans where you got the yellow ribbon.
Yeah.
You know, and those one has just coming out onto their traffic lines. I understand by what I saw that is also a lot of commemorative locomotive that had been done by other Class 1 railways down in the state also. But having all said that about the Class 1 railroad, how many modelers really will have a cenotaph or a memorial for a soldier on their layout?
Yeah, good question. I know you posted the one that we have for upstairs.
That was the one.
That was done for the Selkirk model railroad club, and now is here.
Yeah, that was a scratch built because I could not find a cenotaph that was representative really of what it was. Now, if I had to redo it, I did do it in a different way to have the tomb of the unknown soldier with it. You know, like they got in Ottawa. But this one will do the trick. It will be having a great place upstairs on the layout.
And you've also recently done the soldier statue in front of the Bank of Montreal in Winnipeg.
Yes, that is there too. So not too far from one another would be two cenotaphs. That is a Canadian soldier from World War I.
So there's an interesting question to send out to our viewers that if any of you have cenotaphs or war memorials, whatever you want to call them, on your layouts at home or clubs, send us some pictures.
And write it down in the comments.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? We want to hear from you.
Yes.
I did ask the question on our groups.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I saw that.
And is some response that have come in. Some are in the thinking of making one. Some others have some. But one really did impress me, Peter, and it was the one that not only had a small cenotaph in there, but he had an American flag because he's American, and the flag was at half-mast.
Okay. Good.
That really impressed me, because that was a really great details to add to that layout.
Yeah. I haven't, my home layout, I haven't thought of a cenotaph where I can put it yet, but it's in the...
it's up here in the thinking.
It's in the head for when I get to doing scenery. Yeah.
You got that right. So, folks, let's be proud of our veterans.
Yes.
You know, let's give them all the help we can. And if it wasn't for those who went and even did the biggest sacrifice that they can do, we will not have the freedom that we got today.
Yes, absolutely.
Right after this, we'll be going to the photo of the month.
Enjoy.
in this segment, Peter, we got a few change happening
Right.
in our format.
Yep.
One of our sponsor, which is Miniprint.com, will still be onto the intro, but every month now,
Right.
in between the photo of the month and the view from above,
Right.
we'll have a segment about what's new
What's new from Miniprints?
from Miniprints, and also doing review of what we have received
Right.
from them.
Yes.
Uh,
The monthly package.
Yeah, the monthly package and whatever else that he send us, you know, because he does send us some more stuff than the monthly package. And also, that would be month after month after month after month, so that you will always have a fresh view of what Miniprint is producing for you.
Right. Right.
Miniprints right now is moving the
Right.
business out of his house
Yep.
to a commercial area where you will be able to manufacture probably in a more proficient ways or so on. So
And probably carry an inventory. Better inventory.
more than likely, I think that's what he's got in mind. But like any type of moving, and I remember that when I moved my business just across a hallway,
Yes.
right? It's a lot of work.
Big job.
It's a big job, and you know, it's worrisome because you always wonder, will it work right, or so on and so on. And right now, Bernard is exactly on that stage, you know, moving everything and trying to produce at the same time. So we can expect maybe some delay, which will probably be short, really,
Yep.
because usually Bernard is pretty efficient in what he does.
Oh, yeah.
So now every month you will have the chance to see all the new stuff that come out from there, from Miniprints, and the review.
Right.
It for us, well, when they come in, I got to have the time to paint them and that type of thing, so we can show them properly. That would be sometime time limited. It might be sometime that it was like the box of the previous month, you know, and some stuff on the other stuff, because we are busy also on our side, but we'll figure it out, you know. So the first couple months, we hope doing that starting in December episode, the 24th,
Yep.
that we can have a segment that you guys will appreciate and like, and we'll really, really appreciate your comment on that segment.
Yes.
You know, because that will give us and Bernard an idea how we will line up that segment so that is the most beneficial for you.
And give us some feedback to work with.
Absolutely. So, guys, don't forget to check the webpage of Miniprints, which is miniprint.com.
Okay. Joe. Again, another good segment of View from Above.
And photo of the month.
And photo of the month, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, that is great. A little while back, we had a guest in our studio, which was the brother of Peter.
Yes.
Ivan Hall.
Yeah, he came to visit back in August. Hard to believe it was that far.
Yeah. And we made a segment at that time, which is a banter in between Peter and his brother Ivan, about their youth, their model railroading.
Our history of model railroading.
Yeah. And both of them have a passions for model railroading, and both of them went in totally different directions.
Yes.
And now we'll give you that segment, and it's Peter and Ivan, an old set that we had,
the old set, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the banter that they had and the memory that they had growing up with trains and the diversion that they take as they get older. So
enjoy it.
Enjoy, guys.
I'm here with my brother Ivan Hall from St. Albert, and both of us, I guess, got involved with trains through our dad, who had tin plate stuff. We eventually got into HO, and I eventually branched off into N scale, and you went on to the inch and a half scale. But we kind of grew up with real trains and model trains, right?
Absolutely. You always remember the trips into Winnipeg to our grandmother's place.
Yes.
And Dad would always arrange to take us on the bus up to the Salter Street Bridge over the CPR yards, and we'd spend an afternoon watching CPR trains shunting.
Yeah.
We had the beach trains going through Selkirk.
Through Selkirk to Winnipeg Beach and on to Riverton. Yeah.
And so the bug was set. For sure.
The seed was definitely planted. So we've been modeling in different aspects for a good number of years.
Oh yes, like you say, you and I started in the tin plate, and then we went to HO. I got an interest in the old streetcar line that used to go out to Selkirk.
Well, you did the research on the Winnipeg-Selkirk Lake Winnipeg Railway,
right?
Which I in turn have used with my historical committee in Selkirk, and had that commemorative plaque put down in Selkirk Park and so on and so forth, and that was all thanks to that research.
Yeah, so I spent I must have spent 10 years in traction HO modeling and that, Sidem kits and.
Well, I remember you trying to, was it a coach you were making out of balsa wood from scratch?
Oh yes,
at one time.
All of the traction stuff was scratch built. You bought the trucks and the drivetrains, but the overhead trolley wires and everything, that was everything was
scratch built. Yeah.
And then as I progressed and kids got older, and then I got transferred out to Edmonton. I just got a little sidetracked with HO. I wasn't as intense as I had been, and then getting closer to retirement, I started fondly looking back at the live steam side of it, trains you can actually ride on, and they're bigger, so you can handle things a little easier, maybe. And that's how I got into inch and a half scale and riding.
And I went the opposite way. I went into N scale. But that was a space issue when I got out on my own into my own living quarters and didn't have the space for an HO layout anymore. So I got into N scale, and I'm still in N scale, and I've still retained the HO as well, and like I'm now involved with the CMR layout here out and that's all HO. So
It's all a passion for trains.
oh yeah, yeah,
It's in
yeah.
our blood, and you just can't shake it. So,
That's So anybody that's happens to watch our podcast and is either getting into the hobby or has been in it for a long time, I'll give you a thumbs up and say enjoy it. It's
Absolutely, I have enjoyed the hobby, all the different aspects of it. From wiring to artistry to creating to just operational aspects of it. Yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I think with that we can say to our audience, enjoy the aspect of model railroading. Whatever you're doing, just make the most of it and enjoy, because it's I think it's an inherent part of our DNA or something. I don't know.
Railways made our nation, so what
Yeah.
the heck?
Yeah,
You might as well enjoy the experience.
yeah. Thank you, John A. MacDonald, for the Transcontinental Railway.
Well, hopefully our viewers enjoyed that little segment.
It was an interesting one.
Yeah,
It's
it's funny to think back over the years as to what you've done and how you got into model railroading. But
well, typical brother with a shared passion.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the direction of both were good.
Oh, yeah.
So what just came in as a breaking news to us, is that the Winnipeg Railway Museum, which is in the Union Stations
Right.
that Via Rail own,
Yep.
will be closing on December the 31st, 2021.
Yes, they are looking for a new location.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's progressing, but they are hoping to set up somewhere else.
Well, right now we don't have much on it, though that apparently if they were doing a renovation in there, it did take a huge amount of renovations to get up to code.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if the source are right, and I do not want to confirm that, but apparently City of Winnipeg did like to use these two tracks that the museum is on for their rapid transit. So I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
We just hope to have more information in that regards of that Winnipeg Railway Museum in December.
Yep.
In the interim, you can communicate with them at winnipegrailwaymuseum.com.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it's probably showing and down on the bottom of the screen.
Right.
Also, Peter, we got to talk a little bit about our club in Portage.
Yes. They have a Santa Claus date coming up.
Yep.
December 18th.
Now, there, again, we don't have a ton of information, but it's more than likely that we will do some taping in there for that specific occasions about Christmas.
Yep.
Because the next show is about Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have it for our December show. We might have it in our January show as an after thing, right?
Yeah, probably, because it's the 18th, right?
18th, yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, sometimes we play with the date when we have no choice. So depending how intensive the whole thing will be, we might be able to have it prior, or if not, it would be in January. But regardless, December show episode 24 not only would be our second anniversary, but will be a Christmas show.
Yes.
So we might have a different hat.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we might dress also our set directors, Georgie.
Yeah.
So we'll keep that just as a surprise.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
I hope that there's a lot of modelings that taking place.
Well, now that certainly here with our snow storm, it's winter has arrived,
Oh yeah.
and I know myself, I'm already starting to look at what I want to do over the winter on my home layout. So I'm sure a lot of people out there are who are watching are in the same kind of boat that winter is the time to spend on our layouts a little more.
Yeah. Oh, talking about the layout and doing things and so on, you remember, folks, we told you that our website was down.
Yes.
Okay? And the website is back on, but instead of being Winnipeg, what am I talking about here?
Canadian Model
Instead of
Railroad.
being Canadian Model Railroad.ca, it's CanadianModelRailroad.org. The CA and the .com will come in January, more than likely, because they had been transferred and they need 60 days to bring them back and so on. So whatever. Now, after January, if you put it as ca.com or .org, it will work.
Yes.
So, and the website is up, so you can go to it, and visit it.
Facebook is running.
Facebook is running, the Facebook page. We thanks and we welcome the 658 members that are there.
Yeah.
We got continuous posts that are being posted in there. So it's a lot of your comment that can go in there too. And then we take it from there and we bring them into our show. But all of those three are all connected together.
Yes, and as far as layouts, upstairs on CMR, we're getting closer and closer to having all our power leads reconnected after our disaster.
Yes, and going to new control boards and that type of thing. And I tell you, probably before the New Year's, we'll be on the testing stage again.
Yes, hopefully.
With the new realignment of the rails. And the goal is, really, Peter, that 2022 is scenery.
Scenery.
Which,
Scenery and running.
yeah, which will bring a lot of how-to videos.
We'll be able to start videoing the CMR upstairs and get some segments on the show.
Yep. I think that would be a great thing for you folks, because we talk about it and sometime you have a little glimpse of it. You see some of my posts on the Facebook group, about some of the buildings that goes in there, but
you recently had the church from your old village in Quebec.
Yeah, and matter of fact, that portion there in the layout is that village and the farm.
Yep.
And I still have the mans to build, what was the Bell Central, for the telephone, the grocery store that was there, the school and the bar.
Yeah.
And when all those are together with what I had previously done, and we show on one of our show, the house of my cousin now.
Yep.
That village will be put together, and we'll have a video of it, from different angles, because it's right at a crossroad, and the farm.
Right.
So the farm is being due for the layout right now for a few years, but it will be in place in 2022, and everybody will be able to see it.
Yes. Okay.
So that church you're talking about, and that is a total scratch
built, yeah. Yeah.
And when you look at the actual church and you look at the models,
Pretty close.
Yeah. So, folks,
Good representation.
yep. So, folks, that's pretty much so. the show for this month. We hope to see you on episode 24, which is our anniversary episode also. And till then,
Happy
Happy
modeling,
modeling.
and remember our veterans.
yes. So see you on episode 24.